When did you have your first contact with the Nazis?
In Belgium, I think it was.
And you went over just before Christmas? Or was
We
it?
were in England in Christmas.
Okay, so this was just after Christmas. Huh. You were in the Signal Corps.
Yeah. The radio link outfit.
And you also did some sort of intelligence work because they knew you spoke German?
Yeah, I was given a number, I remember, yes, C-62. That was, I don't name or anything. When you were on the radio, you had to identify C-62 talking, you know, and receive. I know I talked with Eisenhower on the radio link.
You did?
Yeah.
What was that?
It was about the 3rd Army commander, I forget what he's in now. He was down in the middle of Germany.
Patton.
Patton.
Were you under Bradley, or who was your general?
Over Bradley. I was with the 1st Army.
So what did you talk to Eisenhower about?
Well, Eisenhower, he gave some orders to Patton to come up in the Battle of the Bulge. And I remember him saying that I'll be up there with 40 of my tanks and the rest of my gear. He said, I'll be up there in 24 hours.
From Africa?
Yeah. No, not for Africa.
Not from Africa.
At Remagen.
Oh.
They bombed out the Remagen Bridge, and all the Germans was trapped. They couldn't go back. That's where they took a lot of them captive, you know, prisoners of war, POWs.
So Eisenhower was really right there on the continent with you all. He wasn't just...
Yeah, he was over there, yeah.
He wasn't back in England, huh?
Churchill came over there, too.
Did you see Churchill?
Yeah.
Really?
I shook hands with Eisenhower.
And Churchill. Where was that at?
And I forget the name of the town. It was in quite a ways.
In Belgium or?
In Germany.
In Germany. Okay. Wow.
It was about a week or so before the war ended. That's from World War I. There was in France, there was a fenced-off area in there. That's battlefield. I forget what the hell. It was
the Maginot Line. Was it the Maginot Line?
No,
that no one was supposed to cross.
Anyway, I went in there and I found that and I sent it home. It's from World War I.
That's World War I?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. At Terre de Mai, we were at Buchenwald. He had a whole trainload of DPs, or what do you call them, deliberated prisoners there. There was about 3 carloads of them that, you know, some were dead in the car.
They called them DPs?
Yeah, deliberated prisoners.
Deliberated prisoners.
What were they?
They were civilians that were against the whole war.
You went out to Buchenwald, and were these people alive or dead?
Oh, they had them piled up like hardwood there. They were starved, you know.
That's what he saw.
They're numb with skin and bones.
Bodies.
It was the 3rd of May, and the dog bodies, you know, they've been laying there. They were thawing out. They were laying there for a long time all winter. They were thawing out, and boy, it was a smell that you could smell, just like when you farmers smell red manure. It was just full of that putrid smell.
You said body fluids were running out of a
Yeah,
thing, can you imagine?
Bodies, men and women all laying there, and the stuff was running out of their spots, you know,
Stench,
stuff running out of their mountain nose. They were getting thawed out, you know, they were froze. Turned them in, they were thawing.
They didn't even take time to bury them, they just
Yeah.
And
piled them
Well,
up.
they did bury, they did have a bulldozer there where they buried some of them. A big trench and throw them right in, men and women and all, you know. And
Buried them.
afterwards, the military police had the job of digging them up
That's
and trying
pretty
to
inhumane,
identify them when the war was over.
so after they were buried later, they had to try to identify them. And didn't you tell me years ago that they made the village people march out there and see, or no, the man in Weimar told me that at the Historical Society. He said that they made the village people go out there from Weimar
Yeah.
to see it, so
They
that
didn't even know anything about it.
they
you
didn't know anything about
So
it.
they would never allow anything
All
like that
kept
to happen
secret, you
again.
know.
Yeah, that's what-
Yeah, yeah.
That's what Willie Singer said when we were there, we went to Dachau. And he and his daughter read everything in German, we read everything in English, and we were through. We sat and waited for them a couple hours while they read all the German, you know, it's so much longer each piece by every picture. And Willie said he wanted his children, his daughter went along, to see that because they didn't want it ever to happen again in Germany, you know. So
Yeah.
the Germans would go and see it too. And
So
pretty
what,
sad day.
Civilians didn't even know what was going on, you
A
know.
horrible day.
They kept that secret.
no, it was also in Weimar that you got the sword from the old surrendering German colonel.
Yeah. He was
What-
76 years old. He was in World War I.
And he had the ceremonial
His dad
sword
could speak
Yeah,
German
from
with
World
him.
War I.
Yeah.
He wanted him to have it.
And your
He gave it
colonel,
to me and our troop, we were a five-man team, with four of us and then non-commissioned officers, and we had First Lieutenant Maloney. Maloney wanted that sword, you know, and the colonel says, he's a good Yankee, he speaks German, you know, and he gets it. And we took to, 3 days afterwards, he was still after me trying to get that away from me, and when we got back to, what the hell town was that on the river there? Right river.
Wiesbaden or?
No, I sent it home right away,
Oh,
so it was over with.
now tell us about the battle for the Rhine. You said that you had to guard prisoners and they put you,
Oh yeah, I read it. When the war was over, we held prisoners for about 10 days.
back and forth.
Back to Bad Gettysburg,
Uh-huh.
on this side of the west side.
Back to the
Rhine
Rhine
River.
from the east to,
Yeah.
to,
The same prisoners that we took. See, when you take prisoners, you turn them over to the military police and they guard them, and they put them in a roundup, they call it, and guard them, you know. And then when the war was over, I was assigned to a 6x6 driver, and they had, I was a machine gunner, a 30 caliber machine gun above the windshield there. I shot 2 deer with it over there.
oh,
Had tracer bullets. Every was it was a tracer, you know, you could see where it was going.
But did you get to eat the deer?
The one took one and took it, dragged it over. They weren't very big, only weighed
Oh,
about
they're smaller
60
than
pounds.
that one,
They're small over there,
yeah.
short-legged.
And you
Yeah.
said at one point
And,
was,
I shot it with a damn machine gun, 30 caliber,
Oh.
and went out in the field and dragged it in and threw it in the back of the truck. And we had to go to get a load of prisoners. They didn't want to go in there, you know, because the deer was there. I told him to get up in there and stand on me. They had 12 prisoners, you know. And then they had a stool, they stepped on that and jumped in. And then they had the rack, you know, folded down, they had seats. There's room for 19 prisoners. They take a load and haul them back to, across the Rhine River down to Salag 17. And you go back right back, you could go get another load.
Huh.
Made 3 trips a day.
And you said at one point, but this must have been before you went, you were like on a hilltop with a machine gun looking at a bunch of Germans down below. That
That was,
when was
when we
that?
were hauling the prisoners. When it was about 10 o'clock in the morning, we went across the Rhine River there at Bad Gettysburg. And you looked down in there when the sun was shining in. They had them gray overcoats on, you know. By the way, the Germans, they wore them overcoats all winter, and that's all they had, you know. And you could smell them for 10 feet away, just like the Japs.
Oh.
They didn't have a bat or anything, you know. Anyway, when it's about 10 o'clock, when you go across the Rhine River and look down in there, there was about thousands and thousands of German PWs down in there. They were all fenced in, they called it Stalag 17.
They made a movie about that too.
Yeah, and when the sun shone in on the gray coats, it looked just like Lake Wisconsin. It reminded me of it. You looked in there, you
Oh,
know.
I was thinking it was
It
blue,
was
but it
that
was
big
gray.
that there was thousands of prisoners in there.
Wow,
And they all got fed once a day.
wow.
They got K rations just like we got, once a day.
What were the K rations like?
Well, they were hard biscuits, and they were different kinds. Some of them were a box that was put in like a shoebox, and
I was gonna say.
it had cans of, they call it spam in it, you know. And it even had a little,
Pressed
about
meat.
1-inch cube that was white. If you had a match, you could light it, and it would heat it up. One of them cans, you just flip the
Oh
cover
yeah,
on top,
you would heat that
heat it
up.
up. That was your food for the day.
And I was
Just
gonna say,
one
were
for a whole day?
Yeah.
One for the whole day?
That's